Get ready to drop the puck, take a free throw, and step up to the plate. It's time for the Metro East Sports Podcast on lineupmedia.fm.
From the Lineup Media Studios, welcome to the Metro East Sports Podcast, season number 2, show number 35, recorded Monday, October 4th, 2021. As always, got to begin with partners. Cassens, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Callaway Home Loans, Keller Williams Marquis, Jeb and Ginger Blassingame, Integrity Spine and Joint Center, and Front Office Fiduciary Network. We're talking all things sports in the Metro East. I'm Dave Leip. And you know who makes this show. It's the guests. And tonight, we're starting off with a great one. Sam Quigley Smith, the new women's hoops coach at SIU Edwardsville. But I got to intro my second two. This is called a tease. I learned that at a podcast workshop. Just kidding. I never went to a podcast workshop. I probably should, though. Guest number 2, Little Tigers wrestling coach, head coach Pat McNamara, a former All-American wrestler at Michigan State University. And guest number 3 is the other undefeated coach in the 618, Aaron Hilgendorf of Muscuda High School, and his stud quarterback, Chase Hansen. This kid is tearing it up. Before we get to guest number 1, Sam Quigley Smith, 3 things you can do to help the podcast. Number 1, you got to subscribe. It's free and you love it. Coach, you love podcasts.
Love it. Love them.
Number 2, you got to follow us in all of our social media platforms, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and I always forget to say this, on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube now, Jenna. We have one of our new show hosts, Jenna Holder, in here. Quit yawning. You only yawn during my class in the morning, Jenna. And don't forget, if you have a story idea, email me at mespdave@gmail.com. All right, and I've talked to you about the Integrity Spine and Joint Center Team of the Month, and we're going to recognize Muscuda football here later on in just a little bit. But without further ado, welcome to the show, Coach Sam. Can I call you Coach Sam?
Yeah.
What do the players call you?
Coach Sam.
Coach Sam.
Or just Sam.
Just Sam.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
Welcome
so
to Southern Illinois.
I know, right?
You've been here since April, right?
Been here since April, but family just got moved in about a month ago. Month and a half, so
your husband and your 4 little kids have been in Chicago.
South of Chicago, Joliet, Illinois.
So you don't consider Joliet Chicago?
No. People who are real Chicagoans get a little sensitive about it if I say I'm from Chicago.
Wow.
We have a Chicagoan on our staff, and he always makes sure I say, you are not a Chicagoan. You are a South suburban.
So how do you like it here?
Awesome. Gosh.
What do you love about it? I mean, I just want to talk as a woman who has moved her family from Joliet, what we're going to say South suburbs. Yeah. How do you find
incredibly welcoming, a much slower pace than up there, which is very refreshing, less stressful, and the people have completely blown me away. Everyone I've interacted with, and obviously mostly at SIUE, but walking into the local
coffee shop.
Yep. Love Goshen coffee. All of that.
There you go.
Artisan bakery.
Where did we go?
The people.
Where did we go, Jenna? We went on a field trip. I took the entire class.
Did you?
To Goshen Coffee because we're right there. We got
Love
there.
it.
We got there in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Great coffee, great place.
Yeah. Great ambiance.
So people, great word. Look at you. You're like an English teacher.
Hardly.
So you're finding the people here are just awesome because I say the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And even through the whole interview process and meeting with the student athletes, meeting with the individuals at SIUE, it just felt like home already. It felt like family. It felt like, gosh, this is just the right move. So husband obviously got involved with talking to a lot of those individuals too, and that just kind of was a game changer for us.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so you were moving into your first season, and I want to get to all that. I want to talk about the Cougars. I want to talk about your team. I want to talk about what you're doing and all that good stuff first, but I want to talk about you first. You're a Joliet Catholic girl.
Yes,
and a
Catholic girl, angel.
You're an angel. And then you were a star at DePaul. in high school, you scored almost 2,000 points. Any other sports besides basketball?
Yeah, my older sister and I, we played 3 sports through our senior year of high school. So we played volleyball, actually won the first volleyball state championship at Joliet Catholic.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we grew up watching Joliet Catholic play, watching Joliet Central play. Our parents were from that area, and we were following Joliet Catholic volleyball when we were 2nd, 3rd grade. We were actually the Shag Daddy team for them. So us as young players, we were shagging basketball or volleyballs for the volleyball team.
That's a good story.
Yeah. So then we grow up, we go to high school there, but also played softball. So we were 3 sport athletes through our senior year of high school, which I know now is a little bit unheard of.
It is. It
Yeah.
isn't. But did it help you?
Absolutely. Just the different team dynamics. I believe the lack of injury too. We were moving from one sport to another, and I'm not,
And you were
being-
building multi-athleticism.
Yes.
You weren't just running in one direction all the time.
Yeah, and it was so fun for us. We had friend groups in different sports and, different competitiveness in different sport, different body movements in different sport.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool growing up. I'm one of 4, so there's 2 boys and 2 girls in our family. And I can remember an aunt of mine, people have heard this story before. She came over to the house, she looked outside, and we were always outside. This was before social media, before cell phones, before iPads. And we were riding our bikes with rollerblades on, shooting hoops. And she was like, how are they doing this? We were like the epic 2-on-2 boys versus girls, make up whatever game you could figure out in the backyard.
That is so great.
So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Fun childhood, yeah.
And that's where the athleticism came from and the competitiveness.
Yeah. My family of educators, both of my parents were teachers, coaches. So we lived in the gym. We lived at fields, slow pitch softball leagues. We were always at the games. It was just something that we grew up around.
Your parents, your late father and your stepfather and your mother. I mean, there's a basketball floor named after your late father.
Yes. Yeah.
Your stepdad played basketball collegiately.
Yes.
And your mom's number has been retired.
Yeah,
I mean, this
cool.
is no common athletic family. You guys have got to be like athletic royalty in Joliet.
A little bit.
Does everybody know who you are?
I think most people do. Yeah. But yeah, just grew up with athletics all around us.
Yeah.
But it was fun for us. It wasn't anything that was ever forced. My mother, obviously our father passed away when we were young, so her carting us around to everyone's games and every practice, and I don't know how she did it. She's the real angel here.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Why did you choose basketball when it was time to choose a sport for DePaul?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you pick DePaul, and why did you pick basketball?
I would say we got to the point of, AAU basketball started to come around. Travel sports were becoming big, maybe our freshman, sophomore year of high school. And so we were trying to do all of them. Like at one point we were playing travel volleyball, travel basketball, and trying to play on a travel softball team at the same time. And you could imagine how crazy that was, and even trying to do all of those things. So it was really hard because we both really loved volleyball. My sister was a great, great volleyball player. I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but I'm going to say this on a podcast.
Say it.
One of our college coaches said that the best volleyball player here at where we went to school is on the basketball team, and he was referring to my sister. So was very, very successful at volleyball as well. She probably could have played both in college, but played basketball only. It was just a sport that we really loved. We loved when we were young. We went to camps growing up. Basketball was just like the sport. So obviously that went with us into college as well.
And you had a great career also at DePaul. You're a top 20 all-time scorer, number 3 all-time assists. Still
3. That's good.
How about that? Team captain. And you've always been described, every time I read a quote about you by anybody, everybody describes you as competitive.
Yes.
Ultra competitive. Does it ever get in the way?
I would say no. I think it's something you definitely have to have like a balance about, and understand that while you're a perfectionist, everything isn't going to be perfect. I would say that's probably what I've learned the most in my coaching career. That early on, I think I was always like, we have to do this perfectly or we're not going to move on from it. And that can get very time consuming. So coming to a point in our coaching career where you say like, well, we got as close as we could to perfect. We got as close as we could to what we're going to get out of the student athlete today. And so we'll revisit it tomorrow and keep working at it, as opposed to just being very competitive that it has to be perfect. And that's most, I would say, perfectionists, where they just
I can
belabor the point.
And you're tough too.
Yeah.
And you're going to get it right, and you're going to
Yeah.
stay out there, and you're going to focus on it, and you're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you've ever lost. Have you ever lost? Have you ever played on a team where it was like, man, this is a tough season?
I would say early on in coaching, took over a couple programs where it needed some fine tuning and needing, I think, some better direction and better vision, a better mission in mind. So it sometimes just takes time.
Are you talking about when you were coaching at Lewis or at St. Francis?
At St. Francis, so
Okay,
early on.
So you turned that one around.
Yeah.
Got to the Final Four, and at one point your team was ranked number 1 nationally.
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
For quite a few weeks in a row.
And that was a big turnaround there.
Huge.
How did you do that?
A lot of different ways, I would say. Had a great coaching staff around me, a great assistant coach who actually coached my late father, older gentleman, Dan McCarthy, who just knew a lot about the game. So here's myself coming out of college, was an assistant my first year right out of college, and then became the head coach that following June. And so was a very, very young head coach.
22 years old.
At the collegiate level.
Youngest in the country.
Yeah.
I told you I did my homework.
There we go. You did. So it was surrounding myself with people who have been there, have done that before. So that was the first probably step. And then really finding what my coaching philosophy was going to be. I kind of already had it in mind with my experiences at DePaul, being a 5th year there, understanding what it took to be successful at DePaul, going to a Sweet 16, knowing all of those things, and now translating it to a different realm, which is coaching, teaching, educating student athletes. And obviously recruiting comes into play. You get players that make you more elite, and then you take your team and your program to another level. So I would say that, and then us putting our players in the best possible positions to be as successful as they can. And there were early years, I think, where that was a struggle, to put them in the best positions they can to be successful. You could see it in the years, but it was a building process. Those individuals that started at St. Francis that first year, their senior year having a winning season. So them reaping the benefits and seeing the transition into something different, something really special. So the building blocks, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time.
Sometimes it takes too long for a coach,
Mm-hmm.
especially collegiately.
Yeah.
I think if you're a high school tennis coach and you have a couple losing seasons, nobody's writing nasty things about you in the newspaper. But if you're a Division I women's head basketball coach, you're probably going to face some criticism. People are paying more attention to you.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, this will be my first real experience probably with dealing with it. I would say just continuing to believe and to trust the process of what you've done in the past, what you've learned from in your own experiences, and getting others to believe that and to trust in that. And so much of it has to do with building relationships with community, with staff at SIUE, with student athlete, with your own coaching staff. That's how you get people to believe. You get them to know you. You get them to understand where you want to take things, your vision and your mindset for where we're going to be in 3 years. And then when the day-to-day comes into play, we talk about day-to-days a lot, our team, and I know we're going to get into some of the specifics about student athletes and what we do, but the day-to-day process of how we get to where we want to be. Are we doing those day-to-day things to push us to our goals, to put us in the right position, to be where we want to be in 3-4 years?
I get it. Yeah. I'm right with you 100%. And I loved it when you talked about your vision for 3 years, where we want to be. Tell me what that looks like.
In 3 years, it looks like us competing for an OVC championship. And, we as a group and as a team, and I'll share this with you all. It's not something that's, only within our little circle. There's some things that are only within our little circle, but we talk about tunnel vision. We talk about, hey, stepping up the ladder to cut down our first net, and how every step is a goal that we've achieved individually, collectively. And that's what the constant communication and conversations are they're so important, because we sit down, we have these conversations with them, we help them map out a plan for how they want to be successful individually and team-wise. And all of those things are important, because it's so easy. I say this to them all the time. It's so easy to write down goals. It's so easy to type it in your notes phone. It's so easy to say and to put it up on a poster board and put it in the locker room. The hard part is the day-to-day grind of, have you looked in the mirror after your day, and have you worked toward what you have written in your phone? That's the difficult part.
Give me some of those day-to-day details that you're looking for your young women in the basketball program to get right.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things I'm looking for in that day-to-day. Tell me what you're looking for.
Focus. It's an all-around focus and a attention to detail in everything that we do. So we've been talking a lot while we're in a normal practice. We're in a 2-hour practice, middle of the day, and their attention to detail on a simple drill where we are passing to each other and shooting, and the attention to detail on the rebound, the attention to detail on the pass that I'm delivering to my teammate, the attention to detail on preparing your feet before the ball comes to you. Obviously, we're students first, and then we're athletes. So that real focus academically has to be there as well, where we are locked in on what is due tomorrow, what is due in 3 hours, day to day, and everything we're involved in. It can be exhausting, can't it? It's a little exhausting when I'm talking to you about
totally.
it, isn't
it? And you know what? Some girls need a little more help than others.
Yeah.
Focusing on that day to day.
Yeah. Some need some guidance. Some need some reminders, remembering. I did make some day-to-days. Like, I did write that down. I did talk about that. Am I doing that consistently? And so it's a process where you want to get them thinking about it. You want them to get to, okay, I'm doing this 2 days a week now. You want them to get to, okay, now I'm doing it 4 days a week. And you really want them to get to, I'm doing it every day, every single day.
And, just sitting here listening to you, I'm remembering something that I'm really sure of, which is coaching is less about the X's and O's and more about managing the people in your program.
Yeah.
Getting those ladies, getting your gals to buy in and want to be the best and provide that attention to detail.
Yeah.
And what's going to motivate them and keep them focused. To me, the number one motivator is winning.
It is. It is.
Because when you win, then it's like, this works. Yeah. Coach is right. And sometimes it's so hard to stick to the program if you're not winning.
Yeah. And winning is so fun. And when we think about winning, we think about the game. We think about our team's record. But we don't understand, I think, all the time that our practice, there's so much winning in practice. There's so much winning in, we do most of the time, every one of our drills is competitive. So there's a winning team. There's a team that lost the drill. And so the winning team gets the satisfaction of going to get a drink. and the losing team has to do some sort of exercise activity. Probably 80% of the time it's running. But, whether it's burpees, push-ups, anything along those lines. But they see the winning in our everyday practice too. So that's really important. You don't want to wait until the season for them to really win, for them to feel the positive, great feeling that winning brings.
And to learn to enjoy competing.
Yes.
And to learn to be a competitive person.
Mm-hmm.
Are you shocked at how many girls you recruit or how many girls you see who are good basketball players but just aren't competitive? I'm not talking about on your team. I'm talking about when you are recruiting and looking across the board. I see good athletes in every sport who I just don't think are great competitors sometimes. And then I see kids and athletes with subpar athleticism, but because they're such good competitors, they find a way to win.
Yeah. Can I ask you something? And this is philosophical, maybe,
Do it.
But
do it.
Did you think the same about athletes 15 years ago?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
You didn't think they were more competitive 15 years ago?
No. No, I don't think people were more competitive 15
I'm a
years.
big.
But
I think
they were
social
more
media.
athletic.
I think social media has changed our youth, and has changed our drive to go outside
Big
and
time.
to play and to enjoy playing
Yes.
and having fun with neighbor
Yeah.
who you don't know,
And to know how to speak to people,
and to know how to communicate.
to know how to talk to
Yes,
people, to know
yes.
how to say hi to people.
Yeah.
It has robbed our fixation with social media and our little phones has robbed us of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I don't think kids are less competitive, but I think they're more emotionally spoiled.
Yeah. That's a good way to explain it.
Sorry.
That's a good way
Without
to
being
explain it.
specific, but I think they still want to win. I just think if it's not easy, I think they want to quit.
Yeah. That's
they
true.
They don't.
That's true. And
Go
I
ahead.
think there's a level of competitiveness that they believe they have that is the highest level of competitiveness. And then when you get them to a point where they're realizing, oh, this is competitiveness, it's kind of eye-opening. And it's a good eye-opening. It's a good awakening. I don't even know what the right word is. But
Epiphany.
yeah. So just them seeing success. Maybe it's not always on the basketball court. Maybe it's, I had taken one of our student athletes aside the other day, and I said, the way you just communicated that to her was night and day different than what you would have said in June. It was so much more positive. In June, you probably would have yelled at her, or bickered at her, or whatever other way you would have communicated. And now it's like you realize that you need her to work with you in order for your team to do really good things. So you could see the change in her, like, oh, thanks, coach. Like,
And that's
I'm
what
being
you're
a better
teaching.
communicator. Yeah.
So that's what you have to model.
Absolutely.
So when you're talking to these women, your goal is to constructively criticize,
Mm-hmm.
but encourage and be respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. And to motivate at the same time, where they are feeling like, not only am I learning, but she's pushing me to want to be better. She's getting me, our coaching staff is getting me to the highest level of capacity I can be at. And we did a defensive drill today. We call it Perfection D. So you have to be perfect in the entire 30 seconds. It's really, really difficult. Very, very difficult to do. Probably the elitist of elite college teams are doing this, and we've introduced it today. But, I looked at our one player and I said, you should be so happy that your coaching staff thinks that you could be this perfect, that you could do this, and that we're not saying, hell, we can't do that, so we're going to do this instead. Like, we have this high expectation for them, which I think is really exciting. If you're a player, if you're a student athlete that sees that your mentors, your leaders they have these high expectations for you, that's exciting. A fun way to play.
Do you feel like you're achieving the bonds and laying the foundation that you need to have to get this program to match your vision?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a work in progress every day. Probably our staff would say there's another challenge. There's something else that comes along. But that's team. That's a collective group of individuals who's trying to work toward a common goal that doesn't have all the tools. Like not most few teams have all the tools to reach all of their goals. So you have to find, and our men's team says this all the time, Coach Baroni says this all the time, we have to find a way to do this, so we have to collectively use each other. We have to guide them as a coaching staff to help achieve what we want to achieve. So it takes time. It's a progress and a process, but so far it's been a great buy-in from our group. It's exciting because you never know as a new staff coming in. I mean, this is the third time I've come into a new team and a new program, and you just never know what the reaction is going to be like. Is it going to be resilient? Is it going to be, butting heads, confrontational, or is it going to be an accepting, welcoming feeling of, okay, we'll listen. We'll try this.
Well, I'm rooting for you.
Thanks.
What's the first thing we've got to look forward to? When's your first game?
So we have a first exhibition game. It's November 6th. We play University of Missouri St. Louis, UMSL Division II program, who I've played in the past, prior at Lewis University, same league. So that'll be a great start for us and getting to play in front of fans, which has been a while.
Yeah. That'll be
and so,
exciting.
yeah. And then we go away. We go on the road. We go to Kansas.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
At KU.
At KU.
That'll be exciting.
It will. It sure will.
All right. So if fans want to get involved, they want to start buying up those tickets, they need to contact you or contact the university. How?
Yes, season tickets. They're on sale right now. So they could go to our website, straight to our website, siuecougars.com. There's season tickets there. They can also look on our Twitters, social media handles, Instagram, Facebook. All the links are posted there for them.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that you're going to generate a ton of interest this year. And
I hope so.
Yeah, you are. You're going to
Yeah.
get these girls diving on the floor for balls and scoring points and flying around,
Yeah.
buying into your positivity.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to be there for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Coach Sam Quigley Smith, thanks so much
Could
for
I
coming
add
by.
something real quick?
Of course.
Okay. Tune into the WNBA finals as well. The
You know what?
WNBA right now is playing. In their finals are down to 4 teams. Our women watch it a lot. Our SIUE women tune in, watch. Chicago's my team.
And you have a big connection to our women's national team too.
Yes.
You've been an on-floor assistant coach since 2014.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I would imagine that
Younger teams.
You've worked with a lot of these women though.
Worked with some in the league and then worked with a lot that are at the highest level.
That's amazing.
A couple at UConn, Oregon. So really fun.
And that's going to help you recruit
It is.
and bring these players in.
Yes.
See?
Really exciting. We've already got some local ones. I can't tell you who yet, but a lot of local talent coming
Well,
in the next couple years.
I know who's local, who's
Oh.
committed
Okay.
from Edwardsville,
You do.
right? We
Okay.
can say that, right?
Yeah.
Sylvie.
But NIL, National Letter of Intent, hasn't happened yet. so-
Okay. All
But-
right. So we won't talk about it.
But really exciting.
That is exciting. And I'm looking forward to you, Coach. I'm looking forward to following the Cougars this year for sure. Sam Quigley Smith, give me one of these.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks.
for coming by.
Great to be here.